Hello, and today we'll be playing NeveN. Going to start chapter 6 for Vekad. As our eyes meet, I recall, not really knowing whether it's a surprise or a fear that's freezing my body. We look at that. What an unfortunate encounter. I don't know if it's the obscurity or the temple, or if I didn't pay more attention to it the first time I met him, but I'm pretty sure this priest isn't a canine. He's a hyena, and a particularly massive one at that. I think Vekad realizes something is wrong, because he immediately joins me and steps between me and the priest. Is something wrong? No. I'm just a bit surprised to find you here. What are the chances of seeing two hyenas in such a short time outside Vekad? Do you know him? We met in Frostfang. He was working at the temple. There's something of an amused air in the mysterious priest's voice as he does summon the snow off his shoulder. It's as if our conversation has been overheard by the forgetful ones. Perhaps it is to prove me wrong, or to test the wisdom of mortals and the use of their powers. Now that I think about it, I remember my conversation with him, and that makes it all the stranger given everything that's happened. Whatever their objective, if they have one, I think they've chosen the wrong person. Are they really going to talk religion here? We've got a long way to go, Eric. Why don't we do it together? There's only one road in that direction at the moment. We've got time before there's a junction. And then, what's her name? Again? When I turn to the priest, he gives me a broad smile as he shakes his head. As a priest of the forgetful ones, I have pledged to completely erase my name and my past in order to devote myself entirely to gods whose existence is sometimes forgotten. Quite very convenient if I ever have to address them. I don't trust people who have to hide their identity. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. However, I'd be more than happy to travel with you, if that's what you're going to ask. The tension is palpable between these two, but there's something reassuring about the idea of traveling in greater numbers. Besides, I really enjoy Vekad's company, but he can be quiet for hours if he wants to be, so I'll take any opportunity to have a chat. Look, in any case, we're heading in the same direction at the moment. As I say this, I give the stag a pleading look, and he sighs heavily before nodding. Alright, the more of us there are, the less likely we are to attract the attention of the bandits. I've always been extremely fortunate on the road. I certainly hope to bring in my lucky star. I can't say the same. I've already seen my fair share of bandit attacks, and I helped stop the last one. The hunter has a look of pride in his eyes, as if he's suddenly entered a competition to prove himself worthy to me. Except he is pretty much the only one competing. The priest the first to take to the road again, and I join him, followed by Vekad, who is still trying to get some distance from the hyena. What exactly pushed you to leave Frostfang? That's a rather awkward question, especially taking into account that he probably knows I was a royal bard. And it's clear in the stag's eyes that I'd better settle the matter peacefully before he shoves a dagger through his throat. I'm not one to stay attached to a particular place. Maybe my brand will take me to places I don't even know exist, hopefully. I imagine it wasn't easy to convince the kings. I think it might be a challenge of life from this point on. However, before I even have time to explain, the mysterious hyena gives me an amused look. I'm not judging, quite the opposite. The world of gods cannot be limited by mortal authorities. I can't help but make a skeptical pout as to try to understand what such a thought could possibly imply. Do you think it was the gods who brought me through all this ordeal to get me out here? Because they have a weird sense of humor, if that's the case. I can't speak for them. Even, even I sometimes find it hard to understand what they want. But one thing is for sure, their eyes are on us, and at times they sell themselves to be clearer than usual. What do you mean? The police's gaze faced the horizon, and I take the opportunity to look behind me to see if Vekad is still following us. And the stag is still very much there, but he's watching his surroundings as if expecting an ambush. We're all here together, aren't we? Isn't it a coincidence? I don't think so. He pauses and looks at me, but I find it hard to discern what he might be thinking. Ted spoke to me very recently. Chills run through my body, and I know it's not the chill in the air that's caused them. No, Eric, he's not an avatar. He's seen his brand. This is simply the ramblings of a believer who has spent too long in the freezing cold. You mean he spoke to you during your prayers? I asked this question more to try to convince myself that it's just the invention of his mind than out of any desire for a real answer. No, it was in my sleep like some sort of waking dream. See, it just started to become believable. But why would Tess do that? And what did he say to you? It wasn't very clear what his words were, but I didn't understand what he was getting at. How so? He had explained to me that the dreams were only half belonging to him, that they were the fruit of a forbidden love between the boundless ambitions of the Anthrokins and the madness of the mind. I always thought that these belonged to Manessa's domain, given their intangible nature and not to the god of death. At first the name of Manessa rings in my ears, and that's when I realized that this encounter is anything but coincidental. Whether it's really Tess himself or not, someone knows I'm on the trail of an avatar. And then something suddenly hits me. He is not the god death. That's what the avatar Tess told me in my dream. He is not the god of death. He is the god of what could have been. The priest has a revived interest as he listens to me attentively, never seeming to question what I tell him, even though he doesn't seem to understand everything. Our insecurities, the fears that manifest themselves in our nightmares, are so many obstacles to boundless ambitions that inhabit our dreams. However, the madness of the mind is well representative of the weaver of the imagination that is Manessa. Does that mean there's some sort of connection between her and Tess? Quite possibly. I don't know. But I don't know as if we should take the expressive of forbidden love literally, especially when it comes to gods. Especially when it concerns the gods, their love is turned towards us in religious scriptures, never towards each other. This story is a real headache. I don't even know if I should consider this priest an ally or an enemy. Whatever that means, he certainly led me your way. It was he who advised me to take the road north. And did he look like anything in particular? Remember, boy, you know that the gods really show themselves. All he did was talk to me. So I have no way of verifying whether it's about the avatar or not. Well, that might make things more complicated. I think there's something to delve into, although I don't know what yet. Can I count on you to unravel this mystery? Of course. I never turn down theological research to divine words, especially as they are so rare. You say that as if it were not at first for you. Oh, but it isn't. I've heard them a few times in the past. If everything didn't seem to line up so perfectly, I began to wonder if that priest hadn't completely lost his marbles. I'm even starting to question whether or not the question of our first meeting was by chance or not. But from that point on, do I have to question everything? Was it all planned? No, there's no way I'm going to accept that. I'm free to make my own choices whether the gods like or not. It takes me a moment to get my thoughts back in place, and it looks like the hyena is doing the same on his end. So we spend what seems like an eternal moment in the silent contemplation. Fortunately, however, it doesn't last that long. I feel as if my thoughts will cross. It's in my. It takes me a moment to get my thoughts back in place, and it looks like the hyena is doing the same on his end. So we spend what seems like an eternal moment in this silent contemplation. Fortunately, however, it doesn't last that long. It feels as if my thoughts will crush me if I continue to think. Your friend seems preoccupied, to say the least. I hold it against him. He's mostly grumpy with people he doesn't know. Maybe I should start being like that as well. That being said, I don't like leaving him alone for so long. Do you mind if I leave you with your thoughts for a bit? Please do. Our discussion has given me food for thought. I smiled at him before walking away, not really knowing what to think of the priest. In the end, maybe he's. It takes him. It takes me a moment to get my thoughts back in place, and it looks like the hyena is doing the same on his end. So we spend what seems like an eternal moment in this silent contemplation. Fortunately, however, it doesn't last that long. I feel as if my thoughts will crush me if I continue to think. Your friend seems preoccupied, to say the least. Don't hold that against him. He's mostly grumpy with people he doesn't know. Maybe I should start being like that as well. That being said, it takes me a moment to get my thoughts back in place. And it looks like the hyena is doing the same on his end. So we spend what seems like an internal moment in this silent contemplation. Fortunately, however, it doesn't last that long. I feel as if my thoughts will crush me if I continue to think. My friend seems preoccupied, to say. It takes me a moment to get my thoughts back in place, and it looks like the hyena is doing the same on his end. So we spend what seems like an internal moment in this silent contemplation. Fortunately, however, it doesn't last that long. I feel as if my thoughts will crush me if I continue to think. Your friend seems preoccupied, to say the least. Don't hold it against him. He's mostly grumpy with people he doesn't know. Maybe I should start being like that as well. That being said, I don't like leaving him alone for so long. Do you mind if I leave you with your thoughts for a bit? Please do. Our discussion has given me food for thought. I smiled at him before walking away, not really knowing what to think of this priest. In the end, maybe he's neither ally nor enemy. Maybe he's just a tool, like I feel I am. Fortunately, the amused look Vekad gives me as I approach him quickly dispels these thoughts. So, do you make friends with him? I'm sure it was a fascinating discussion. Don't be jealous. All my attention's on you now. It's not jealousy. I just don't trust him. Why is that? Because he's a priest. And what exactly do you have against priests? They always have crazy stories to tell. It's inspiring. Yeah, except they believe they're crazy stories. This doesn't answer my question. I don't have any particular reason to be suspicious. It's just that they always act as if everything's complicated. I like simple answers. But you were philosophizing not so long ago. Yeah, about things that matter. Plus, they think everything is up to the gods. But I think we have a say in it all. I wish I could be as sure as you are. Sometimes I feel like my life is completely out of my hands. And I also know that the stack often loses control. But it would be wild of me to use that as an argument against him. That's the state of mind of a prey, alright? He smiles at me and pulls me closer by my arm. And I must admit, it's rather nice to see him take the initiative. Well, it's hard to fight against one's nature, but not impossible. Even though I have the impression that the hunter has relaxed, I see him glancing around from time to time. Are you worried about bandits? Yeah, and they should be worrying you too. Oh, but I am worried. I'm good at hiding it. That's all. Besides, I proved to you that I can defend myself, haven't I? Not everyone with an axe to grind is going to announce themselves. It's harder to activate a brand when you got an arrow stuck in your eye. Can't help but get chills as I picture this. It looks like the stag is picking up my reaction. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. But take the danger seriously, okay? Got it. A heavy silence follows again as I too begin to look around. Then the hunter's voice rings in my ears again. I got something else to tell you. When he answers, his tone is deep and his voice is a little shaky. I wonder if he's afraid of my reaction to what he's about to say. I took care of the lynx yesterday. Even though I suspected something, though I understand what Vekad is saying, I want him to say it out loud. And if I doubted the reality of his words. You mean you killed him, right? Yeah, but this time it was definitely me. It wasn't a fit. I like to take outways at his accent and tell him that what he did was wrong, but somehow I can't find the strength. I know guys like him. We weren't safe while he was alive. He had gone after us with his gang. Then the more I think about it, the more I find an unhealthy satisfaction in his execution, as if it would avenge me for all the criminals who tormented the other street kids and me. I understand. Maybe we could have done it differently. Maybe there was a better way, but who am I to question the morality of this action? In the street, you find justice where you can. The only injustice I perceive is that Vekad has to get his hands dirty, and I don't. Next time, I appreciate it if you didn't do this behind my back. It was a decision we both had to make. You don't have to carry this alone. You know I can't let you decide that kind of things. Because I'm too weak, because I want to preserve you. It was you who encouraged me to be more than just a prey, wasn't it? Yeah, but I'm not asking you to be a murderer either. And who asked you to be? The hunter gives alongside, shaking his head while he keeps an eye towards the priest, obviously hoping like I do that he hasn't overheard this conversation. It's in my nature. Whether it is or not, I don't give you a choice. No more secrets between us, not if you're aware of what you're doing. At my insistence, if Vekad simply raises his eyes to the sky before nodding. I suppose I can't escape it, but I'm not sure you're aware of what that means. All the more reason for me to get involved in what you're doing. If I have to learn the hard way, then I'll learn the hard way. We'll have time to think about it, because we'll have to make a little roadside halt sooner or later. There's not a single inn around. The rest of the way is strangely more cheerful. Vekad pulls me along with him to show me the wonders of nature, and we stop here and there to observe a cove glistening in the sunlight or a particularly tall tree. These are simple things, but I must admit I enjoy them. Something tells me he's doing all this to distract me from our discussion, and I can't help but feel my heart warming at that thought. But eventually the stag whistles to attract the priest's attention, and he takes a while to raise his head, clearly well and truly lost in thought. Then, once he has our full attention, Vekad leaves the road to go deeper into the forest. We shouldn't stay too close to the road in case there are patrols. Why don't we follow this advice when we're traveling? Because it's a recipe for running into an outpost or even wild animals. While answering me, the stag walks until we reach a small natural alcove in the rock face of a hill. Perfect. It's sheltered from the wind and not deep enough for us to be a predator inside. Are you going to explain everything you can? Yeah, we never know. You might need it if something happens to me. I'm regretting trying to make a joke because the answer is more sinister than I thought it would be. I'm sure you'll be fine. You're lying to yourself, Eric. You know it very well. He hasn't been well for a long time now. As I help Vekad set up our sleeping bag, I can see that the priest is settling into a corner of this makeshift shelter. The stag also glances at the hyena and finally talks to him after hours of silence between them. Sorry, but I don't have any for you. You weren't planned for the journey. Oh, don't worry about me. I've had harsher living conditions anyway. I must confess, I find it hard to imagine anything harsher than having to sleep on the stone in the freezing cold. We can bring you some leaves, at least, so that you're not directly lying on the walk. If you have the time, I won't say no, but if not, don't worry about me. I was planning to go around to collect twigs anyway. Why don't you come with me, Eric? I'd love to. And so we set off in the direction of the forest, while the priest stays behind and starts leafing through a book he pulls out from under the flap of his robe. Once we're far away enough, the hunter mutters grumpily. He could have offered to help us. Would you have accepted? No. In that case, I suppose it's a good thing he didn't offer. It's just out of principle, that's all. It's hard not to smile as I watch Vekad struggle against his own logic. The important point is that it gives us both a bit more time together. Yeah, well, don't try to enjoy it too much. We're here to bring back branches, not to make jokes. I'm always very serious when I do something. Another can't help but give me a doubtful look, and I bend down to pick up some branches to show him how responsible I am. By the way, I was wondering what's for dinner tonight. I brought some dried meat, but I know you don't particularly like it, and it won't be enough for the rest of the trip, so I'll have to pick some berries. Then I'll be hunting at night for my food and that of the priest. At night, it's dangerous. Yeah, with my brand, it's like hunting during the day. Plus, there'll be more animals out there. I'll be more likely to find good-sized prey. And as for that danger, I'm not too worried. The bandits will be visible to me from kilometers away, and I'm not afraid of wildlife. And then points to a bush, and I can see that a few white berries are hanging from its branches. Here, why don't you take these? Let's try, but it's a snowberry. I know perfectly well that it's poisonous. For a moment, the stag looks impressed, then nods approvingly. I guess you're not completely lost out there, but you'll have to find it. But you'll have to learn to hunt, because you won't always have a choice for food. You know very well that the whole bow thing isn't for me. Yeah, you did well last time. But anyway, I wasn't going to give you another reason in archery. I was thinking more of showing you a couple of snare traps, simple and effective. Now that's how you catch rabbits. Yeah, but I need a bigger one for you. He laughs, and I stick my tongue out at him, amused by this little bit of humor. You already caught me anyway. No need to hunt me down. After I was busy picking up more branches, I head for a group of bushes that are low to the ground, whose branches are covered in small blueberries. That's what I wanted to find. Creeping juniper. Yeah, it's a good idea. Great hunger suppressant, but you need to take it in small. That's what I wanted to find. Creeping juniper, huh? It's a good idea. Great hunger suppressant, but you need to take it in small quantities. Why? Because it'll give you a nasty stomach ache or worse. Yeah, it feels like everything out there is trying to kill us. Yeah, it's just the plants trying to survive as best they can. If they could let themselves be eaten, I'd be very grateful. That's probably what predators think when they see you too. I can't help laughing as I enjoy this little moment of respite with Vekad while bending down to pick up the leaves Blind things too. That's why I want to find. Creeping gerbil, it's a good idea. Great hunger suppressor, but you need to take it in small quantities. Why? Because it'll give you a nasty stomach ache or worse. Yeah, it feels like everything out there is trying to kill us. Yeah, it's just the plants trying to survive as best they can. If they could let themselves be eaten, I'd be very grateful. That's probably what predators think when they see you too. I can't help laughing as I enjoy this little moment of spite with Vekad while bending down to pick up the leaves for the priest. After all, you never know when the hunter might have another fit, so I tend to enjoy his presence while he's still there. And that's exactly what I do for the next few hours. This moment of bliss passes so quickly that when I look up at the sky, I realize that the sun is beginning to fade. I think we've got everything we need. Got enough berries? I think I'll mix that with a bit of dried meat since you're so determined to see me survive. Good idea, that's for your own good. Believe me, the castle meals are behind us now. Painful to hear, but no less realistic. So it's in a slightly gloomier mood that we return to the camp, and the priest is still immersed in his book, so much so that he doesn't look up when he hears us approaching. You got your leaves, please. Oh, I thank you for it. I hand him the bag before joining the stag as he begins to pile the branches in our corner sheltered for the wind. Do you know how to make a fire? So I teach you. Come on, Vekad, I'm not completely incompetent. I've already told you that I used to live on the road. Yeah, well, you don't talk that much about your former life, so I wasn't sure. Can I join you? Please do. We may be spending some time together, so we might as well get to know each other. Unfortunately, I don't have a very exciting life story to share. Being a priest is a pretty monotonous job, I'm afraid. And yet, here you are on the road. Fucking coincidence. Well, it's no coincidence, the gods are guiding me. I know he means it literally, but Vekad doesn't need to know how literal he means it. In all truth, I'm even afraid he will react badly to this revelation. It's true that at times I get the impression that the gods are a bit invasive. Yeah, they don't talk to me, so I really don't care. Still, as a hunter, Kelithan should be an obvious choice. Do I really need a god to hunt? Nah, I don't think so, because I'm good at what I do without having to pray. It's a mistake to think that the gods necessarily require prayers. Some Africans have found this way to commune with them, but in ancient times they were honored through deeds. I'm sure Kelithan appreciates your hunts in his own way. Yeah, well, I hope he enjoys it because I don't know how to do anything else. You get out of lots of things. Don't put yourself down like that. Seeing the doubt in Vekad's eyes, I moved closer, slipping an arm behind him while taking refuge against his shoulder. He seemed to rather appreciate it. It's easy to see that you're a troubled spirit. It doesn't take the gods to figure that out. What is bothering you? A whole lot of stuff, but I like to avoid talking about it. I understand that. Yeah, I hate tense situations. Rather than talking about what troubles us, why don't we talk about things that are a little more cheerful? For example, what is your purpose in life? For his part, the stag is content to place the last twigs before lighting the fire, which finally brings the warmth I've been waiting for so long. But something tells me he'll do anything to avoid taking part in this conversation. Well, as a priest of the forgetful ones, I devoted myself totally to their care. I clean up the places dedicated to them, rare as they are, and make sure they are not forgotten in return. What a life. I suppose it's always you to see a lot of the countryside. Oh really, this trip is an exception. In truth, the appearance of your brand has changed many things for me. What do you mean? Let's just say that from a purely theological point of view, it's no longer makes much sense to call them the forgetful ones if they brand their Africans. Right now, the discussion will probably revolve around why. Why you and not someone else? Why now and not before? If you come up with an answer, I'd love to hear it, because I'm as lost as you are. It'll take a few years, if not dozens, so splits have been formed over less than that, so we can expect this event to cause unrest across the whole continent. It's hard for me to realize the impact my plans reckon it could have, and I'd like to get away from all these issues as much as possible. But that means you're not the only one, right? There must be other believers out there who worship the forgetful ones. There were but very few. That being said, now that the existence of blood never is known, it's very likely that believers will suddenly flock. That makes sense, but I hope you're not planning to make me part of your cult. I'm not, but it's very likely that others will see something new and exciting in you, or maybe they'll feel you. Either way, I'm afraid it's your burden to bear. There really is no subject that spares me the anguish. Maybe Vekad wasn't completely wrong about the police after all. Speaking of the hunter, I find him awfully quiet, and trying to catch his eye, I see he's lost his gaze in the flames. Are you alright? It's just not really my kind of conversation. I suspected as much. I was planning to go to bed early anyway, and I hope you won't mind my snoring. Don't worry, there are plenty of other things that will keep me awake out there anyway. Most of them are probably worthy of my worst nightmares. When a hyena goes off to lie down on his side, I take the opportunity to get closer to Vekad. Now just you and me, if only. He chuckles and puts an arm around me, and in response to this invitation, I move even closer and rest my head against his shoulder. Then I speak in a low voice so that our traveling companion can't hear me. You know, there will come a time when the police's path will separate from ours, but until that time comes, I raise my head and I'm about to kiss the hunter's lips, but he recoils. What are you doing? I think it's obvious, but if you don't feel ready, it can wait. Well, I'll smile at him to reassure him. He scowls. But last time, I know when you're being yourself and when you're not, you act very differently. And right now, in this moment, I know it's definitely you. Now it's up to you to tell me whether you want to go further or not. If you don't want to, I'll stop right now. Vekad hesitates for a moment, then suddenly grabs my hand and offers me a somewhat wild but more than welcome kiss. I nearly choke with his tongue and push it away with my own, determined not to let the stag dictate the pace. Then I push him away and climb astride his lap, while he watches me as if he were about to devour me. And this time it's me who kisses him while wrapping my arms around his neck to keep him close to me. Thanks to this proximity, I can feel bows forming under me, which makes me settle with excitement, even though I know nothing will happen tonight. I think we'll have to leave it at that, bad guy. I don't want to, but you're right. The tall stag lets himself walk backwards and pulls me with him, and I do my best not to scream as I suddenly find myself lying against his chest. I'm sure of what I want now. Oh, what is it? You. I can feel my heart melt, so I have to reward this behavior immediately by kissing his snout. This desire is most certainly seared. We gather in complete silence except for the crackling of the flames, and eventually lulled by this warmth coupled with that provided by Vekad, I let myself drift off to sleep. When I wake up, I realize that I have been carefully laid down in my sleeping bag, and it's now daytime. The fire is out, and the police is still there, waiting, but there is no trace of Vekad either in our little camp or in the surrounding area. Instantly, I straightened up and addressed the hyena as an incomprehensible panic gripped me. "Where's Vekad?" It's been hours since he wandered off into the woods. I assumed he'd gone hunting. No, he said he would hunt at night. He should have been back by now. He just shrugged, so I leaped to my paws, hands clenched on the hilt of my rapier. Which way did he go? Somewhere over there. The police pointed vaguely in one direction, so I headed straight there. Stay here. I'll go and get him. A whole bunch of worries are running through my head. Has he been attacked, or did he simply leave? No, Eric, it's obviously not that. It's your old mind playing tricks on you. After barely passing a few trees, I see his antlers sticking out from behind a bush, and as I get closer, an immense relief relaxes my muscles. "What are you doing out here? You scared me." No answer. "Vekad, can you hear me?" As I approach, I see him standing with his arms dangling, and he seems to be looking into the distance, yet there's nothing to see but trees. He's whispering something so faintly I can't hear him, so I run to stand in front of him, hoping to catch his attention for a glance. But his eyes seem lost in nothingness. My heart starts drumming in my chest again as I grab his hands without triggering any reaction from him. Then, in a trembling voice, I try once more to communicate. "Speak to me, I beg you." Still nothing. So I listen closely. I try to make sense of what he's trying to say, and that's when I realize that he's just repeating the same words. "Not him, not him, not him." What does that mean? Who are you talking about? But he goes on, and on, and on, and all I can do is hug him. "I'm here for you, Vekad." Maybe I should. Yes, the music has come and kept before, so why not him? I remember an old tune sung by the trappers of Skarna when they returned from their hunt. Perhaps it might help. With the grace of the Lord of the Wild, we, his servants, have returned from our quest. I look up at the stars with hope, like a child, as our trophy sign read the pride of our conquest. Although the stag twice repeated the same words, there are some cracks in his voice. Is that a good sign? I have to keep going. The howling wind whispers our great deed, and the branches of the trees witness to our success. Our footsteps silent as our prey bleed. From its leather robe are we dispossessed. This time he stops talking completely. I guess it's a reaction, however small. And our shoulders is the fruits of our hunt, mute inert spectators of our feet. And in our minds, oh, let me be blunt, we knew Selethan was coming to feast. And then at last his eyes fall on me. There's not the sparkle I usually see in them, but it looks like that old song is breathing life into him. I pull him gently by the hand and he follows me. Then I finish the song in the hope of bringing him back to his senses a bit more. By the grace of the Lord of nature, we his servants have completed our quest. May he spare us so we have gray hair. We'll offer him sacrifices at his behest, but nothing more. He now remains mute, although he seems to react to what I do to him. I struggle to decide between worry and relief. He's obviously no longer able to fend for himself, but I'm trying to reassure myself that all his fits so far have been temporary. But just in case this one isn't, I better get back on the road. He's counting on me, and I promise to help him, so turning back now is out of the question. So we return to the camp, or rather, I drag him there, under the curious gaze of the priest. Don't worry, he's a bit out of it, but it usually goes away fairly quickly. I could feel something was wrong with when I saw him leave, but I didn't dare stop him, given that he isn't of the best disposition towards followers of the faith. Don't worry, I understand. There's something in Hyena's attitude. I can't quite see his eyes under his hood, but in the way he's twisting his fingers, it's as if he's hesitating. Is there anything else I should know? Well, I had another visit in my sleep. Oh no, please don't let it be bad news. Test again? Yes, he told me he knew a way to achieve your goal, a method of contacting Meneses' avatar, whatever that means. In fact, he even insisted it was the only way. It's like my blood is boiling. Is he toying with us? It's far too convenient and gives me the strong impression that I'm being spied on all the way by that accursed god or avatar. They give me a headache calling each other the same name. Anyway, thanks for the offer, but we'll go on our own way. You don't know where you're going. You told me so. I know very well where I'm going. I'll get by without any help from the gods or anyone else. Thank you very much. Well, I understand, but I'd like to continue accompanying you if you don't mind. Do as you please. I have nothing against you. Thank you very much. So we pack up our things, and it is with a heavy heart that I have to slip Vekad's bag onto his back. He's still catatonic, but I occasionally try to stroke his arm to see if it brings him back to reality. Don't worry, we'll get through this, you and me. A lot of the journey is done in complete silence. I'm not really in the mood to discuss theology in any way. I'm too busy handling Vekad's hand while observing the surroundings, as if I feel obliged to fulfill his role in his absence. When eventually the police approaches and tries to start a discussion. I'm sorry about your friend, and I cannot explain to myself the attention that Tess is paying to both you, to you both, or what he is planning. Once again, I hear the hesitation behind his voice is rather disconcerting, considering he's been relatively sure of himself up to this point. There's a certain frustration in having to follow paths that meander according to the capricious wills of others, even if those others are the gods. Being a priest hasn't always been easy for me, just as being an avatar seems not to be for you. Imagine not hearing a single word from those you cherish, hoping every day, every hour, every second to receive a message from them, even just one word. I suppose I can understand. I prayed many times and never received an answer, and that's probably the case with everyone out there. So why do they answer when we don't address them? I don't know, and those are difficult words to say for me. Yet they are necessary, because I thought I knew the forgetful ones, or at least was close to them. And overnight, hearing the voice of Tess, my world shattered as it did for you when your brand appeared. Well, I believed him instantly then, because I have faith in Tess. I wouldn't be a very good priest if I didn't tell you to believe in him, even a little. Faith isn't really my thing. I prefer to think of it as hope. I don't have faith in Africans or in the gods, but I do have hope that they'll make the right choices. And I'd like to think that as a bard, I help to keep that flame alive by inspiring them. The gods have always given us so much. Is it fair to expect more from them? After all, it's thanks to them that we are more than just animals. Really, I don't think we're that different from our ancestors morally, I mean. No matter what anyone says, we're still beasts ready to tear each other apart at the slightest opportunity. Only the strong really have the choice of being good or not, while the weak are content to take the crumbs that are left for them. That's a rather bleak view of life. Well, that's the point. You can blame life for giving me that kind of outlook. But Vekad taught me that I don't have to stay weak just because rebels were once prey, and that's even more true today than it was yesterday. Whether it's the will of the gods or not, I need to become strong, not just for my own sake, but for his as well. I then left my gaze to Stag, stroking his fingers in the hope that he would hear what I am saying. And to be quite honest, I don't trust Tess, his avatar, because I was able to see him in a dream too, and I think he's the one talking to you. In fact, I've seen them all, and they're as Africans as you or me. There's nothing extraordinary about them. They also seem to be full of flaws. This time I can see that the priest is troubled by my words, I have a feeling that our wandering won't end anytime soon. I suppose it's healthy to have some degree of doubt in these troubled times, but I need some time to think, if you don't mind. Of course, I have to admit that it's convenient for me that this conversation is coming to an end, but somehow I can't help feeling a little sorry for this priest who seems to have found his way, but who in reality looks more like he's being bounced left and right by Tess. Especially as I have a feeling I'm following the same path. Fortunately, it only takes a few hours before we find a roadside inn. The smoke rising from the chimney brings me some comfort in the midst of this freezing cold. We're going to stop here. I need to ask a couple of questions. Even though the priest already knows I'm looking for Vanessa's avatar, and Tessus has probably told him everything he knows about me, I'm certainly not planning to tell him exactly how lost I am. Fortunately, he just nods silently and doesn't ask any more questions. The three of us then enter, and we immediately catch the eye of the dozen or so people inside. Most of the Anthrakins I see are armed to the teeth and clad in layers of armor. Some of them even look ready to fight. Well, hello, gentlemen. We're not looking for trouble, just a hot meal and some rest. One of them, a badger, wearing a piece of cloth over one of his eyes, beckons to the others, and immediately they relax and return to their drinking. As for me, I turn to the hyena with a pleading look on my face. Can you keep an eye on Vekad? Of course, and if you wouldn't mind getting me a beer in the temple, I would say no. He then takes the stag by the arm while I sigh and having to leave him behind, but I tend to keep an eye on them in case the police cause anything fishy. While I'm busy ordering our meal, I hear the bastard speak in a thunderous voice. I'm pretty sure I could hold Gilead in a fight with Bill practice. Yeah, you take this nice and warm position away from all that mud to find yourself a pretty little noble lady. We all know the story. The warriors burst out laughing, and I can't help but smile as I listen to them. If only they knew. Oh, I wonder if I could use this to my advantage. As I turn around, and now that I'm closer to them, I can see Frostfight's emblem hanging from their necks, and this time I'm pretty sure this one is real, and that's all I need to know. You need more than a little practice to defeat Gilead. I'll see him fight. He's well up to the standard of his legend. I'm going to avoid telling them that he trained me personally. It might be a little too improbable in their eyes, and I certainly don't want to let them know who I am. Oh yeah? How could you see him fighting? Must have heard about the tournament for Prince Maybron's birthday, right? Well, I was there, and I saw him defeat that Kazalian. Yeah, maybe you're telling the truth. But I don't know you, of course. I'm sure there are no less worthy opponents around here. There's nothing wrong with buttering him up a bit to get into the good graces of these warriors. I imagine they're patrollers, so they must know the area. However, my remark doesn't have the desired effect. I even have the impression that my interlocutor is slightly offended by it. Let's say we're trying to do our best right here. Are you in trouble? Well, there's that group of lunatics who set up camp the day before yesterday on the road heading north. I hope you're not planning to continue down that road because they're a nasty bunch. Shit. How nasty are they attacking people? There are rumors that they are. All we can see is that fewer and fewer travelers are coming from there, and the ones that do get through are red hot branded with some real symbol. I hold it back from asking them what they're waiting for to tackle the problem, but I've got a feeling that Badger already knows what I got in mind. There's not enough of us to get rid of them, so we wait here and make sure they don't bother any more people. And let's say I need to continue north. Yeah, we're not going to stop you, but you know the dangers. My advice would be to take the road west to the ocean, then follow it north, but that means there's several weeks deviation depending on where you want to go. Right, it was with the red hot branding. It's not really typical or the ordinary bandits to do that sort of thing. Well, I told you, they're raving lunatics. The travelers who managed to get through have told us that they're expecting their arrival representative of forgetful ones, and that they'll recognize themselves when they arrive. Fuck, other people know about the avatars now, but are they after me? Maybe Menes's avatar is around and sees the one they're waiting for. I just hope it's not another avatar, least of all if it's the one of those who wants to fight. In any case, I doubt it's just a coincidence, and either way, I'm not going to deviate from my route, even if it means walking straight into a trap. Vekad is counting on me, and given its current condition, something tells me that his time is running out. Were the people who returned from their camp able to give you any useful information? Yeah, they were a bit shaken up and were speaking nonsense, but at least they told us there were fortifications around the camp. We don't have exact figures on the number of vagabonds and a number of brigands, but they're armed and not very friendly. Plus, there were a couple of things that didn't make sense, and we didn't pay any attention to them. What do you mean? Tell me everything. Every detail was important. Yeah, well, those who came through were talking about monsters, but it was more the ramblings of people in shock from the pain. I think the red hot iron didn't do them any good. Monsters, that's just what I need. After what I've seen of the appearance of my brand, I wouldn't be surprised if it were true. Thanks for the information, and keep training. Maybe you'll get to fight against Gillant one of these days. I enjoyed the overall good mood of the warriors. As I carry our food and beverages back to our table, my mind now even more full of doubts. I'm not sure how, but the police has managed to get Vekad to sit down, and he looks just as pensive as I do as I set this beer down in front of him. The path to the west is a long way round. I know, I've been down this road before. I don't intend to do it again. I'll continue north, no matter how dangerous it is. I understand the urgency of the situation, but this is no time to be a hero. And that's not what I'm trying to be. I know the dangers, but I also know there are consequences to inaction. My gaze turns back to the stag, who is still staring straight ahead. Again, I see him move his lips to other words I can't hear, but can easily guess. Not him. Not him. And I still have no idea what he's talking about, nor who he seems to be pleading with. Look at him and dare to tell me I can afford to waste even one more second, let alone whole weeks. Besides, you told me to have faith, didn't you? Well, I have faith in myself, not because I want to, but because I have to, because the choice we are presented with is not a choice at all. But you still have the option offered by Tess. He promised me it would be safe. When he first appeared to me, he didn't strike me as the type to help out of the goddesses of his heart. To help out of the goodness of his heart. I don't know what he wants from me, but what I do know is that it must be a bad omen for us. While sipping his beer, the hyena takes on a dejected look and just sighs as he listens to me. Look, I'm not asking you to follow me. There's nothing to stop you from heading west. I have a path to follow, just as you do. I don't intend to stray from it. Now you still understand me. Besides, it's not every day you hear about the potential presence of an avatar in an inn. I mustn't forget my objective. I have to find an avatar of my mind, and that won't be achieved without taking risks. Now, despite my doubts, I have the strange feeling that I'm at peace with my choice. Dangerous though it is, deep down I know there is no alternative. At first the path was rather quiet, but several hours we were on a plane, and the road is well maintained. But gradually the path becomes steeper as we descend into a forested valley surrounded by salt rock that look like large fangs. Vertigo makes me dizzy as I try to focus my eyes on the road. My mind is screaming at me that the slightest false step will get me torn apart on these rocks, that death awaits me at every turn. My life is hanging by a thread, and I better make sure the gamble I'm taking pays off. If indeed it is me that this group of fanatics is waiting for, then all should be well. But if it's another avatar that they want to see, I'm going to have the blood for a worse fight. Unfortunately, no time to put a plan in place. I'll have to rely on my sense of improvisation and my legendary luck. One can't possibly be unlucky all the time. After all, things have to balance out eventually, don't they? Well, at least Vekad doesn't seem perturbed by these questions, nor by the difficult descent. Despite his absence, he's adapting perfectly to the terrain and doesn't seem likely to slip even once. What do you intend to do if it's not you they're waiting for? Killing him, I have no bloody idea what I'm doing sounds like a bad plan to me. However, before I fabricate another lie, something occurs to me. I doubt they even know I doubt they even know who they're waiting for, considering they didn't ask to see an avatar. The warriors at the end said they were expecting a representative of the forgetful ones. I still hope they're not talking about me. I hadn't thought of that, but it's true that the police fits the description, but it wouldn't make sense except if they are into weird prophecies, which is a possibility when I think about it. I doubt it, or maybe you're hiding something from me. Even if I'm smiling, I'm only half joking. He's not here by chance, we both know that. Finally, when we reach the valley, I realize that a thick mist prevents us from seeing more than 5 meters into the forest. There's nothing natural about that. The mist would have reached outside the valley as well if it was a normal occurrence. Something tells me this is the work of a brand. Besides, this is the first time I've had to deal with this kind of tactic. This one's commonly used by bandits to attack caravans in order to conceal their ambush. So I keep one hand on my rapier, ready to fight. I like to avoid it if possible, but being the prey is out of the question. Then suddenly, there are growls all around me. I can't see where they're coming from, but it sounds like something a wolf would make. Stay behind me. This time the priest doesn't argue, just silently activates his brand, which I can see glowing under his hood. Before I have time to do the same, two Africans, a lynx, and a wolf, armed with spears pointed straight at us, emerge from the mist accompanied by some sort of wild dogs. I consider turning my attention to the armed bandits at first, but they remain firmly camped on their positions, and this gives me time to see that something is not quite right with the animals accompanying them. One of them has an extra paw on its left flank. It's unusable and seems to be bothering it more than anything else. I've seen deformities like this one in the past, but the fact that the other dogs are just as deformed makes me think something is wrong. One of them also has several rows of abnormally large fangs, so big that they protrude from its mouth and pierce the skin of its snout. However, my thoughts are interrupted when the armed Africans silently advance towards us. We're not here to fight. We're only here to head north. That's not entirely true, but they don't need to know any more than that. The two stop again and exchange a look, so this time I take the opportunity to try to examine them. They're wearing leather armor that they've tried to cover with animal skins, maybe even African skins, for all I know, but thinking about that makes me shudder. My band and I have dealt with cannibals in the past, so I'm keeping that possibility in mind, but the fact that they let travelers through makes me think they're more than that. You'll have to follow us. We'll do whatever you ask as long as you don't try to kill us. That's not our intention. Immediately I remove my hand from the grip of my sword and show that I'm acting in good faith, but that's not enough to calm them down. No brand. Out of the corner of my eye, I see that the hyena accompanying me scowls, and then the glow of his muzzle gradually fades. Eventually, this seems to reassure the other two Africans as they raise their weapons. Follow us. That sounds more like an order than a suggestion, and I intend to obey it as much as possible. Come on, Aaron, let's take a breath and go. You're doing this for Vekad. As we make our way through the forest, the road seems to fall apart. Tree roots are cutting through where little paving still stands, making the passes unnavigable for wagons. I've already traveled this world a few years ago, yet I don't recognize it. Nature isn't usually so quick to reclaim its rights. But why would anyone knowingly destroy infrastructure built by Anthropocans? As I try to occupy my mind with all the questions running through my head, the fog gradually seems to dissipate around us. And at last, I see the wooden ramparts of a large camp, and these are guarded by individuals garbed just like our escort. Actually, no, they aren't just any wooden walls. The surrounding trees appear to have been unnaturally stretched to connect with each other, then carved to form these fortifications. I can even spot individuals bearing the brand of Mariani working on them, plunging every gap by extending the wood of the trees. Is the first time for me. I've never seen anything like it. For a moment I freeze, observing this impressive structure with particular interest, and for a moment it hurts my heart that Vekad can't enjoy the view too. I immediately receive a tap from the handle of the weapon of the lynx, which accompanied us as he insists with his eyes that I move forward. When the doors open, they seem to do so almost organically, like a flower whose petals spread apart, and I can't help but marvel once more at such use of our powers. No, stay focused, Edward. You might be in enemy territory right now. Keep moving. Others will take care of you. Once the gates are fully open, I finally get a glimpse inside the camp. There must be a good 50 Anthropocans here, and they're all busy doing something. Among them, I see the users of the brand of Fury who are busy maintaining the fire that covers the forest. And as I look up, I realize that the foliage of the trees is so thick that it doesn't even let the sunlight through, so much so that torches have to be lit to illuminate the area. Anthropocans are capable of amazing things when inspired by the gods. We think that we could use these powers to make beautiful things rather than killing each other with them. Invited by the insistent gaze of the guards, we penetrate farther to the camp by spreading our way between a group of tents. A sudden noise, like a squeaky scream, startles me as my heart races. As if the stress of the situation wasn't enough, this place now gives me the creeps. What the fuck is this? Driven by curiosity, I can't help but poke my head into the tent where the howling's coming from. Africans bearing the brand of Mariani surrounded a large table on which one of the dogs they use to patrol. This one howls like it's dying and thrashes about, the leather straps hold it down on the table. At first I can hardly see what they're doing to him, but gradually the corners of his mouth are torn open painfully to make way for a new row of fangs, giving it a ghoulish grin. Shivers run down my spine as I watch this creature look in all directions in utter panic before its eyes begin to stare back at me. Then all of a sudden its new fangs fall one after the other to the ground under the frustrated gaze of its tormentors, and the howling starts all over again. I'm immediately wretched. My thing for the hyena puts me out with a scolding glare. I know it's tempting, but this is no time to be curious. I have to seem like a dish the police's gaze softens. I can see that he is also fighting his urge to know more, while I do my best to regain my senses. The other ones modify these animals, and it's abhorrent. There are no other word for it. No. I have to put my principles aside. I have to pretend I'm in my element because people like them are able to sniff out fear. So I take a long breath before doing my best to show that I'm not completely defenseless. And eventually I move forward until I pass two more Anthropocans, orange to the teeth, canines rearing wooden masks going into the entrance to a gigantic wood hut, the only solid dwelling I've been able to see. I'd like to introduce myself to your leader. If possible, I might have something that could interest him. The two guards look at each other, then the stronger of the two searches me. I let him, having no desire to end up skewered by his companion, when I feel him reach for my rapier. Is that really necessary? When he answers me, the Anthropocan's voice shows no sign of hesitation or fear. I doubt I can convince him of anything, but I still intend to try. Yeah, it is. So are your brand. Well, let's say that. That's when I see that the other guard has grabbed holding some kind of poker whose fire-wetting metal glows brightly. What are you going to do? Last warning, you're bland. Please be reasonable. Mother gods, what have you gotten yourself into, Eric? I take a breath before removing my chainmail cloak, then slowly take off my top as my mind goes all over the place. Are they going to scar me? And if so, how much does it hurt? Maybe they'll even kill me if they realize I don't have a normal brand. But maybe I'm also the person they're looking for. Yes, that's what I have to think. There is hope. So I expose my brand with my back to the canine, and he growls. Then I feel the point of his weapon in my throat. What the fuck is that? You think you're clever showing us a tattoo? It's a real brand, I promise. I'm the forgetful one's envoy you're looking for. Even though I can't see the guard, I sense that there's some hesitation as a crushingly long silence looms. The police doesn't dare move. He just looks at the other two Africans in utter panic. What more proof do you need? Maybe you want me to get naked? Use your powers. I don't know what they expect to see, but it's in my best interest to prove to them that I have a unique brand. However, the less they know, the better off I'll be. I am going to have to sing. It's my awakening Chester. Sing all you want, as long as you prove what you're saying. All I can think of right now is the little hunting tale I sang for Vekad last night. By the grace of the Lord of the Wild, we his servants have returned from our quest. I look up at the stars of hope, like a child, as our trophy sign read, the pride of our conquest. Instantly my brand glows. I feel like it's getting easier and easier to the point where I wonder if I'll soon be able to activate it without needing to sing. Now it's in my best interest to keep my abilities as vague as possible. Let's see what I can do. I place my hand on a piece of wood to pretend I need to touch whatever I'm freezing for it to work. Then to fix the circles only I can see around it. And once I know I'm frozen in time, I step back, pointing at it. Try cutting that, and you'll see what I'm capable of. The big fellow grabs an axe right next to him and takes it in both hands before bringing it down so hard that its edge splits on impact without leaving even a tiny gas in the wind. Even the guard seems surprised that he hasn't managed more than that, and his partner gives him a mocking look. Give it a go if you think you do better. The mute fear of the other canine makes it clear to me who's in charge here. Maybe I can use that animosity. What brand is it? And what is it supposed to do exactly? It's Never's brand. I can make anything I touch absolutely unbreakable, as you've seen. There's nothing like a half-truth to fabricate a lie. Besides, it's not as if he can verify what I say. Not if you use it cleverly, anyway. I'm not sure what that has to do with the god of time, but it worked, that's for sure. When the two Africans' gaze turns away from me, I position myself between them and a piece of wood to get it out of their sight with a swipe of my paw, so they won't notice it's effective with my powers released. That's when I meet the eyes of the priest, who seems torn between two emotions. On the one hand, he seems impressed and happy to have been able to see the existence of my powers, but something tells me that he is also tense because of the trick I pulled. Meanwhile, the guards have moved away and are talking in private, glancing in my direction from time to time. Fortunately, before he can ask for more details, the taller of the two guards approaches and beckons me to follow him. Come with me, but your pals stay outside for now. Is that alright with you? I doubt I'll have a choice anyway. Take care of Vekad, please. I hold him very dear. He's relying on me. I get it. Go ahead. I'll keep an eye on him. With that, he smiles at me, and I try to smile back, hoping not to show too much bad faith. After all, we are now embroiled in the same mess, whether I like it or not. We are fellow misfits. The guard opens the door to the hut, and I follow close behind, We cross a long corridor before arriving in the main room. In the center sits some sort of decoration with large antlers and an animal skull that's covered in leaves. But that's not what watches my eye the most. To the sides are several cages full of Africans who are silently watching me pass by. They are completely naked, revealing their brands, which are all rather large, to the point where I wonder how they got here and why they don't use them to get out of this place. However, before I have time to wonder any further, the central decoration begins to rise. It's alive, it's gigantic. Lord Corax. This one is not like the other. To be continued. Hello everyone. We hope you enjoyed this chapter. If you want more information about NeveN, feel free to follow us on Twitter. We also have a Discord allowing you to chat among community members. Finally, if you would like to support our project, we also have a Patreon that offers you a series of benefits such as bills 2 weeks in advance. We also have unique stories about the characters in NeveN. If you like the VN, please also feel free to rate us on Itch.io. It will help us a lot. Once again, a big thanks to all of you and see you soon. Okay, so apparently this thing here, or creature, I think, is their leader. So you got Africans trapped in cages with brands. Apparently they got large brands, so this is the reason why they're naked. So their brand could be shown clearly. So apparently there's some kind of a group here. So this group of cultists, this is what I think it is, a cult. They've been causing problems along the road, so people have had to detour to avoid these people here. So apparently they want to talk with someone who is more like a representative or a priest of the forgetful ones, and this person in the blue robes that have been accompanying Eric and Vekad fits that. He really fits that kind of he's really the person that they want to talk with, but I don't know if they really want him or somebody else. But apparently those guards were impressed by Eric's power, so they brought him in there, and I guess this person or whoever it is their leader, I guess. So in the next Vekad update, this is simply chapter 7, we'll get to see more from this figure here. So while we met the blue-robed hyena earlier in the game, like very early in the game, when Eric went to that temple and talked to him, we didn't know what he looked like at the time, but now we do. We do know what he looks like now. So, and it seems like the gods may have purposely put him on this path for him to meet with Eric. So maybe he can track him or keep an eye on him, maybe. Because it's kind of weird that this priest who works with the forgetful ones would leave Frostfang at the same time Eric would leave. So maybe the gods put him on a path that he unknowingly knew. Well, but he did. I don't know. Either the priest himself knew of what the gods wanted, he decided to follow Eric. That's just what the gods told him to do, or he probably had no idea about Eric leaving, and that the gods, unbeknownst to the priest, had him kind of follow Eric. Anyway, so Vekad very much cares about Eric. He's very concerned about him, and he wants him out of danger. And they had a kiss in the cave, so their bond is growing stronger now, which I enjoy. I think Vekad Vekad and Vekad are my two favorite roots, the two favorite characters. And Vekad this very nice person. Yes, he has a dark past, him being part of a slave owning family, but he's renounced it, and he's decided to be with Eric in Phosphane. And Vekad, he is, to me, the most relatable person of the four characters, because he's not royalty, he's not part of the nobility. He's an average, ordinary person, just like Eric. So, in my opinion, they have way more in common than the other three characters do. So, that was chapter 6 for Vekad. Thank y'all very much for watching. Goodbye.